This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us. Check out IWC, RWA, and more. And listeners like you, support this show at patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show.
Hungry as fuck, but I ain't starving yet. Chain for the pain, cocktail dog set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Eating for the taste of the fly.
Hey guys, it is the Indy Mayhem Show. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter here in the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we got another great interview with you here today, and several are scheduled throughout the next few weeks, as long as all the scheduling and stuff. You never know these days, in the days of COVID and weather and connections and who knows. But we got a lot of stuff going on. Please check out everything, of course, at our friends IndyWrestling.us, WrestlingMayhemShow.com. That's where you can find this podcast, past episodes, and a lot of other great wrestling podcast content and wrestling content as well. And today we're actually reaching outside of the network. We do tend to talk with a lot of people we work with because that's easy to talk to around here. But I've had the fortune to visit what's going on because, man, I got to get my wrestling bug somehow, and I was invited down. I took the invite, and I got to check out some Real Shoot Wrestling here over the last several months. Tim Cross, the promoter and owner of Real Shoot Wrestling, joining us on the line. How you doing, Tim?
Good. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming on. So Real Shoot Wrestling happening mostly. We'll get into kind of the depth of all that, but I like to get a little bit of icebreaker for people. So tell me, what is your earliest memory of professional wrestling?
Like being involved or just in general?
Mm-hmm. Just in general, like your memory, like you'll see it on TV. Like what's the earliest thing you remember that kind of caught your attention?
Sitting with my grandma, sitting with my grandma, and I don't remember which matches, but the people that caught my attention were Liger, Muda, Arn, and Pillman.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the ones, for different reasons. You got Muda with the paint and the mist. You got Liger with the awesome masks.
Mm-hmm.
You got Pillman just flying all over the place, and then you got Arn just, that ground and pound, just rough punch kick, just ruthless type atmosphere. They were all just something that caught my attention the first time I really sat down and started watching with my grandma, and WCCW, The Missing Link, and gentleman Chris Adams. Those two companies and those individuals were the ones that kind of caught my attention and kept my attention. So
that's awesome. So so a lot of the Southern style for sure.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. It was the stuff, Georgia, Texas, Florida, that type stuff.
So I know we talked a little bit in the pre-interview because I didn't know a lot of your background kind of going into this, but you did actually train at some point. Can you talk about a little bit of that transition? Like at what point you're like, hey, I want to try to get a shot at this in the ring and finding that training?
Well, I had just, I think it was like 2006. I had just stopped with my first band that I thought was going to change the world type deal. So I was kind of just down, and I hit up my buddy one day, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm at work. Stop in and see me. And I stopped in at work, and he goes, hey, my boss, he's into wrestling. And I was like, oh, cool, man. He was like, yeah, you guys could talk sometime. And I go in there, and I talk to the guy, and he looks at me and he goes, so you like wrestling, huh? What kind of wrestlers do you like? And my first answer was Chris Jericho. And he replied to me as, oh, you actually like wrestling? I thought you were gonna say like Hulk Hogan or John Cena. I was like, no, I actually like it. And then turns out that was TJ Phillips, and he's trained, as people in the area know, Jason Kincaid. He trained Jason Kincaid and then me, and I trained for probably a year and a half, 2 years, and I have been, and this is 06, yeah. And I have been involved in the indie scene around here in PA and in Ohio for going on 13 years in some way, shape, or form. I
Mhm.
mean, I've been the very early years. It was I barely helped here and there, got a robe, did this, did that, So it was very small, but until the past 5 years, I've actually really started helping other promotions, and then just said screw it and did my own.
Nice. Well, and we were talking about that. We kind of have a common connection I wasn't aware of. You were there for the early days of the Renegade Wrestling Alliance.
Yes,
I
yes.
was there, fell out, and came back. So I think we might have just missed each other if I have my timings right. Tell me a
Well,
little
I
bit.
mean, were you there the very first couple shows?
No, 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 no. I was there in the day when we were like, hey, let's make this a legitimate thing. And I got brought back in like, I don't know, 2 years later, and then, fell back into the video with them and everything. So I
Well, I
missed
was I
the
was there the very first,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and it was definitely a fun experience and a
mm-hmm.
weird one at that. I found out about what it's like to have heat with someone. Uh, I got it wasn't even my fault either. It was somebody else's, but I got the blunt of it. So it's whatever. And then the next time I saw him, I just gave him the exchange back and
Mm-hmm.
gave him the same response when he asked me if there was a problem. So that was pretty much the end of it. It was pretty quick, but yeah, man. RWA when it first started, it was definitely something. It was cool, but I mean, I was young, so
Yeah.
to me, it was just like, oh man, this is awesome.
And it was at the time I know it was feel bad, obviously a fan that was doing some extracurricular stuff around wrestling and kind of transitioned to it. So there's definitely been a lot of growing pains over that decade of that promotion to becoming
Yeah,
like basically like the top two, sometimes one, depends on who you ask, of this region up here at least. So
yeah.
so it is funny to see from those early grown days of
Oh,
how that goes. So
it was very early,
mhm.
very early.
So tell me a little bit about was there anything else in significant you've involved RWA RWA usually leaves an imprint on somebody's life for better or for worse, but I think we can all agree on that, but was there anything else of significance you worked with, and what kind of like brought you into the hey, we're just going to do it ourselves?
Um, well, my first my big first story about RWA was I was thrown into some crazy four-way tag match thing. He
Mhm.
was a huge fan of those when it first started.
Gotta get
um,
everybody on the card, brother.
yeah, it was every day, every show was a WrestleMania for that guy. And
That hasn't changed.
it was some four-way tag match, and this Nacho Grande needed a tag partner. And I remember everybody had heat with him anyway because he brought nachos, and that was at his gimmick table.
Mhm.
So I'm like, great, you put me with the guy that has heat. But we're going out for this tag match, and sure enough, this guy's all hopping around, just loving life, giving fives. The next thing I know, I turn around, this guy's sitting on his butt, grabbing his ankle. We haven't even got to the ring yet, and I'm like, what did you do? And I walk over to him. He's like, I blew out my ankle. I was like, are you kidding me?
On the entrance?
Literally on the entrance. So I get in the ring and I see two other staff members, which is just trainees, drag him off. And here comes the three other teams. And I'm supposed to take the first. He's supposed to take the first pin. Like that's just what's supposed to happen. So I'm just sitting there like I'm green as Kermit the Frog, and I just don't know what to do. Uh, so so pretty much, uh, JC comes over to me, Sensation, and goes, "Well, you got to take the pin, man. You got to go." So I'm like, "All right." So we get in. I get in the match, and we're working, and lo and behold, here comes a dude in the same exact outfit and a mask, and comes out to be my partner. And I'm like, and I get thrown into my corner, and he tells me who he is, and I'm like, what the hell? You weren't even on the card. He's like, I had the same body size. I'm like, all right. so he was a friend of mine. He's actually now in Alaska wrestling. Up
I
there, there's only like 2 or 3 promotions up there. They
I,
have no drama at all.
I feel like I want to connect and just have a conversation with people about what Alaska wrestling is like. Because
Well, I can get you in contact with him.
okay, we're gonna make this happen just for.
We'll definitely make that happen. And sure enough, as soon as he got ringside and stood in my corner, I took the double super kick and was pinned, and it was over. So, so there's that one. And then the other one was TJ actually worked a ladder match with, I forget who the dude was, for the light heavyweight title, I think it was there. And TJ broke his ankle, I think like 2.5 minutes into it, but worked a 25-minute match.
Jeez. Those were always impressive.
That's TJ Phillips for you.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, that was the start. So that would have been like 06, 07. And Real Shoot started around, we're on 3 years now, at the end of July. So it'd have been 17, I think, was when we started. And that, honestly, the whole reason why that happened is just, people saying they're going to do one thing and then they don't. And then it was literally just hey, we got this idea. We're going to be the farm fed, in a way, for the other feds in West Virginia. And we'll get the green guys really, really good. And then we'll move them up to here, and we'll move them up there, and we'll do this and that. Well, TJ had came to me because I had started. The reason why it's called Real Shoot, because I get this question all the time, because I will be the first to tell you it's a goofy ass name. But I'm honest. But a friend of mine had got kicked off of a Facebook wrestling page and hit me up and goes, "Hey man, will you help me build a page?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He was like, "I know you have some connections with guys, and it'll just look good for our page if you can get them part of it." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "What do we call it?" And I was like, "Well, you can call it Real for, the fans, and then the marks, and then you call it Shoot for the boys, and it'll be kind of like a thing that the guys can, the people that want to learn more of the business, they can learn it from the guys that are in it, type deal. If they want to, give the little secrets here and there, nothing too big, just a friendly little page about wrestling." Well, it grew pretty far, over 1,000 people at the time, and TJ was the one booking for this company, and he came to me and he said, "Hey man, you want to do me a favor?" And I said, "Sure, what's up?" Best friend, I have no problem with that. He goes, "Can I use your Real Shoot name?" And I said, "What for?" He was like, and then it was for the company that I just told you about. And I was like, "Why?" He was like, "Well, I mean, honestly, you've already got a fan base established. All those guys that are part of that page, as soon as you start your own company, do you not think they're going to follow suit?" And we built this whole thing off of me and a buddy of mine one day just hanging out, partying, and we just put some simulated matches on there of characters that we had made, like me and a TJ, and I had made Jock Sampson and Jason Kincaid and Andrew Palace and guys like that, just for fun. And we built it off that. Well, he came to me and asked me, "Can we use the name?" I said, "Why?" And he was just like, "Well, you've already got a fan base, and it's just smart, and you guys can communicate with them quickly." I was like, "All right, cool, that's fine." So essentially, it was another promoter and a TJ the booker using my name. Well, they had ran about 3 shows, and because of the promoter, not the booker, promoter, they were awful. So, and I was just like, "T, I got to be honest with you, man. I've rode in a car with this guy. I've learned from this guy. I've did this. I've did that. Like, I've paid attention. I'm one of those guys that I don't. Whenever I'm around others that I can learn from, you'll notice I don't talk a lot. I just listen, like, the whole time, because that's how I was taught." And it got to the point to where I looked at him. I was like, "You don't need this guy. I can handle everything, and you can just still be the booker." And he was like, "Why do you want to take on this responsibility?" I was like, "Because you're using my name." And
Mhm.
he went, "Oh, that's fair." So he fired him, and I took over, and I've been running it uh, as mine after the second show. The second show, I'll throw him under the bus. I don't care. This jackass had a roster cost of $250.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I told that guy to kick rocks
So
because that's ridiculous.
for those that don't know the background business of indie wrestling, like that's everybody gets a hot dog level right there, more or
A
less.
hot dog and a high five
Yeah.
and maybe $5 for a carload of people.
Yeah, today it's a hot dog and a fist bump, of course, with COVID, but you get the idea. But
Yeah.
so you really kind of had to work to rehabilitate this brand. It sounds like going in. And we've had discussions before about things, and anytime we've talked about working together, I'm like, dude, your schedule's everywhere. I can't do it. Because I think at the time I looked at, you were doing like almost every weekend at one point across 2 to 3 states, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing, and it's good and bad.
Mhm.
It's both. I'll be the first to say it. Um, at first, I was booking us kind of like a band,
Okay.
to where it was like, we want to play wherever you'll have us. We don't care if you'll have us here in a church, if you'll have us in a basement, if you'll have us here, if you'll have us there. And there's a way for us to make money, so people are leaving with cash in their pocket, for their services. I was cool with it, and we were in that position to where we were, up here in the northern part of West Virginia. There just hasn't been good wrestling forever,
Mhm.
but it seems now. Um, you have some people that would run shows and they would be, 12 and a half hours long with 147 matches because they're filming for TV type deal. But, like there just wasn't good storyline, pay attention, solid wrestling. And I feel like we kind of filled that gap and people really dug it. So, you know, um, we were just lucky, and people wanted us here, people wanted us there.
Mhm.
We had a friend that wanted to run, but wanted some help running. So he was like, "Hey, can I use the name?" And we did that in Ohio,
Mhm.
and then and now we go all the way. Well, when everything opens back up, we'll end up going all the way from Connecticut to Florida.
Really? So this is not, so your attitude towards this isn't like a regional type thing. That it seems that
No,
everybody's like, we are going to be the X in Pittsburgh, we are going to be the X in Cleveland. Like you were that cross thing. Like I think I want to go back to like what Ring of Honor just seemed to be, that traveling kind of thing when they first started.
yeah, that's kind of like that's a really good explanation. Is kind of what we're doing. It's a situation to where like, there's like, we're the best in Pittsburgh, or we're the best in West Virginia. That's cool,
Mhm.
and they are. Some are the best in their area, but that's not what I'm going for.
Yeah.
That's all. And if that's what they are, great, awesome. I'm glad if you're happy. That's all that matters anymore. If someone's happy with what they're doing, and then that's all the success they need. That's just in my mind. So, if such and such wants to say they're the best in Cleveland, or such and such wants to say they're best in, wherever, awesome, good. I hope
Mhm.
they are, because that's just not what we're trying to do. Like that, and that's what sucks, is being in the situation that we were. There was a lot of, in my part, there was a lot of learnings that I had to figure out as we were growing, because we've had a West Virginia belt, and then it was like, we don't want to put ourselves in this little bubble.
Yeah.
So we came off of the West Virginia belt, you know, and we've just had different things here and there, and we've just had to learn from our mistakes, and hopefully we have, and we'll plan on learning more as we go.
And just to clarify, I was showing some visuals here if you guys are on video, but I was showing a little bit of the Battle of Cleveland. And if you've ever watched the RSW feeds, these are the posters in the background as well. But I mean, I'm seeing Chavo Guerrero, I'm seeing Effy, I'm seeing Pillman. You know, I know Matt Riddle had a match with you, I think right as he was getting signed by the WWE, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Riddle worked for us July 27th, and he showed up. And the only reason why I know these dates is because they're just special to me. July 27th is the show he worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
August 16th is my son's my youngest son's birthday, and that's the day he showed up on NXT Takeover.
Nice.
And what's funny is when Matt came and worked for us, he actually came into Parkersburg, West Virginia, and did a seminar the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So during the seminar, he looks at me and goes, "Hey, man, and this might be, something that's not out there or known. So this might be an exclusive type deal." I don't know. He goes, "Yeah, sorry I haven't hit you up with a response or anything, but I've been super busy. I have 2 contracts right now, and I kind of don't know what to do." And I'm like, "Oh, really? What's up?" Like, he shouldn't be telling me all this stuff that he tells me, but he just doesn't care. And he goes, "Yeah, man, it's either NXT or New Japan."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, crap." I go, "Who'd you pick?" And he goes, "Oh, well, you'll probably see me at Takeover in August." And I was like, "That's awesome, man." And then he starts telling me how much they're giving him and how much they gave him to move. And I'm just like, "Hey, man, we just met. You don't got to tell me all this."
It's like, hey, I don't want you to get in trouble by telling me at this point, right?
But he was just cool. And then what's funny is he came here and he was like, "Hey, man, you think you could help me get my fingerprints for WWE?" And I was like, "Sure." So helped him with that too. And he actually came to my house and we were just hanging out on the deck. And my kids were here, so
Mhm.
my kids got to meet him. So that was really cool. It's just been my having my kids a part of it and getting to witness it and them into it as much as they are now has made it way better than when I originally started. Wrestling starts to wear on people sometimes.
Yeah.
But whenever you see, like my kids freak out over something like that, it gives you that fire under your butt again. So that was working with Matt was really cool, really good guy. What's funny is when he starts the seminar, he starts doing stuff. TJ walks in and goes, "You teaching these kids to shoot on each other? What are you doing?" Because they're doing leg holds and stuff, and Matt just kind of looks at him and giggles, and he's like, "I mean, kind of, man, but that's just my style, bro." So that was pretty much it. But he was really cool. Working with Chavo was really cool. We worked with him in Cleveland, and he brought his chiropractor in, and he told all the boys to go get cracked by his guy, and his chiropractor set everybody back in place. The whole locker room that night, like even me and even rando buddy of mine that always hangs out. He was just like, "Hey, man, my back kind of hurts," and he was like, "Lay down." So he that was really cool. And then in having Teddy Hart versus Chavo Guerrero
Mm-hmm.
was definitely a cool situation that I got to put together. Before all the weird Teddy stuff happened, which I don't even pay attention.
Did he have the cat yet?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, he had the cat. And that's the night. That's the night that Conor McGregor was on UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And after our show, he went to BW3's. He's like, "Come to BW3's and hang out for a drink." And I'm like, "All right, whatever, man." So I go. He's parked in the handicap spot in the front, car running, with his 3 cats inside. just chilling, not caring. Just done. He's just like,
wait, were they to warm them or cool them? Like, what time of year was this?
I was October, so
it was to keep them warm.
It was to keep them a good warm.
Okay.
it wasn't too cold,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was rainy that night, so it had a chill.
Enough to be
And
concerned about his
and
cats.
those cats are just so fluffy, bro. And oh man, and then he puts it on the top rope, right?
Yeah.
So he puts one on the top rope, and White Mike from I think it's White Mike or Timmy Lorette, I don't remember exactly which one, because on the first night I had the Hart Dynasty versus Jim Nasty Boys,
Mm-hmm.
and he put the cat on the top rope. The cat like looked at White Mike and jumped off the top rope and ran into the crowd. I was like, "Geez, bro."
Wow.
So
Good.
it's been real cool working with some of the names. Effy, also, if
Mm-hmm.
if you guys are going to check out this Saturday, MV Young's event. I don't know when this is playing, but make sure you check out Effy anytime you get the opportunity to.
Absolutely. One of my favorite conversations I've had on the show is with Effy, and still have not seen him in person. I hope that changes Saturday. So
You've only interviewed him.
Yes.
You've not got the opportunity to meet him.
No.
He is. Make sure you take at least an hour out of your day and just
Oh
talk
man.
with him.
Oh man. Oh, that's basically
learn so much.
basically what we did on here. We talked about marketing and everything at the time, because it's just
He's so
it was
smart.
just when he was blowing up and had the website and everything.
He's so business smart.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can see
And
it.
then you find out that he's essentially a backyarder, and he'll tell you that, and he don't give a shit. He's a backyarder that all the vets like appreciate and respect.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but yeah, great. Effie's great guy. You know, Chavo, Teddy, great to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Pillman Jr. I was one of the first people to book him. He was always a delight to work with. Always have been, and we plan on working together soon here.
Good.
I don't want to give too much away, but soon here in the future. I got a couple other surprises type deal. But recently, one of my favorites in outstanding people to work with has been O'Shea Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure anybody that doesn't know him, go check him out as soon as possible. O'Shea Edwards is everything you need in a pro wrestler.
Yeah, running into him a couple of times back, one of your shows, just seems like one of the coolest dudes to be on a roster, and it's just been phenomenal matches every time I've seen him.
He's one of those guys that if you have on your roster, he makes your whole roster better.
Mm-hmm.
He's there to help everyone. If they've got a question, he has an answer.
So we're running up on our time here. I know for a podcast we actually have a time limit here. Yeah, it's more scheduling than anything. But I do want to get a little bit into what you guys are doing right now. Obviously, a little bit of a transition. We all got shut down, obviously, in March. I've been trying to work with one promotion in West Virginia since March, and that has not panned out. So I mean, it's a difficult time. A lot of the companies we work with, or they're just around the areas, just trying to figure out what version of pro wrestling, what can they do, what are the limitations and things like that. And obviously, that's different from state to state. Some are faring better than others. Tell me a little about this what you were doing now currently, and how you kind of transitioned to that version of it.
Well, for me, I mean, in what we're doing now is just like anything else we've done with Real Shoot Wrestling. Essentially, is hey, we got this idea, let's throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. And that's pretty much what we've done, and it's just grown from there. We have a school, the Real Shoot Institute of Grappling Arts, and we weren't able to get our kids the matches that they needed. You know what I mean? Like, so we had brought up, let's do like, let's do like a little storyline. Let's do a little storyline with our students, and let's do a little live show for everyone at home because they can't come out and watch us. So we get it, we do it. It goes off very well. Everybody enjoys it, and we decide to do it again in 2 weeks. And it's catching on, and we've got people, vets like, hey man, I want to make sure I'm not rusty. I want to make sure I get the time in. I want to make sure that, these younger kids of mine are getting what they need. So, um, can I come work the shows and stuff? And I'm just like, please, of course, I have no problem with that. We'd love to have you. So now I've got people traveling, 11 hours, 12 hours, just because they want to come and work and get good solid matches and be able to work with younger green guys and help with their development,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically why, like I said, why it all started. So, I couldn't be more appreciative of how it's turned out, and where it's went from the first one, and this, just this small little idea we had, and to now see where it's built into. We now run a weekly show with some with some very good talent. Uh, like this week you'll see the one of the matches is Benny Conley, our RSW champion, versus Beastman. Beastman's always entertaining, and Benny is a very underrated talent in this area, honestly. And I feel I'm very happy that I'm the one that is able to give him this platform for everybody else to get to see how good he is. Um, and we're also, like I said, we're also getting those young kids out there, so people get to see them. So when the opens back up, because I'm gonna be honest, as a promoter, you can't come right out the gate and
Mm-hmm.
just blow your wallet on the first show out. You know what I mean? You're gonna need some young starving talent that wants to really show people what they got, and it pretty much just puts everybody on the same level, and the ones like the ones working for me are going to be above and beyond the other ones because they're just not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm happy that, my kids that we've been training and giving these matches to, and, people like Palace has been helping, and TJ has been helping, and there's a couple others from that area like LaRusso, his kids, you know, um, solid talent that we started using. So, it's definitely a we're definitely an area for learning, and that's what we're pushing with our show. If you're watching it, it's usually someone there working with someone younger so they can learn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, as of right now, our goal is for learning and just pretty much to keep our names in your mouth,
Yeah.
essentially, because that's what you got to do right now because there's just so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even, it's like there's nothing going on, but there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Because you've just got to do all these extra precautions, and it just takes your mind off of doing the other things. you know but the way we set ours up is there's a mandate on the mask, and we ask you to wear a mask, and it's only, like you said, you were invited.
Mm-hmm.
Our crowds are literally invite only.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's people we know, it's people we trust, it's people from our community that we've always dealt with. So, we're doing the the best we possibly can,
Mm-hmm.
to without taking the absolute fun out of it for everyone. You know what I mean? So
It is
try
riding that line, isn't it? A little bit. So, and I like that. Everybody seems to be more or less picking a different path on this. Like I don't think any two promotions in this area up here are doing the same thing.
which is a huge plus.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like everybody's kind of reaffirming their identity in a different way by how they react to this, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You've got, I've noticed, just being from West Virginia in this area, I've noticed, IWC taking the drive-in approach,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. There's not really a whole lot around me to take that approach.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I have reached out to just doesn't want to take that responsibility on, which is totally understandable.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, So good for IWC on that. That's awesome. And they've also been taking the baseball field approach, which is a really cool idea. And then I've noticed Imagine pretty much just tarping off an area. I've noticed that, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And if that's what works and gets people to pay to come in so they don't watching your product for free.
And I think they're fortunate because it's an area right outside. And I got to visit them for their last show, and I believe it's right outside the building that they typically run. So people know where to go. It's not a new location.
Well, then that's even better. And that's a huge plus.
Yeah.
If people already know where it's at and you're just running outside.
Yeah.
You know, you got to do what you got to do so, you can still have your matches and still get the people what they deserve, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, but other than that, there's just a whole lot of people being quiet,
Yeah.
And that's good for me and IWC and other places, and that's but it might also be good for them too if that's what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
Well, yeah, and everybody's in a different position, obviously, and everything too. So, and even approach to how they're promoting even before this. So, what does this do to that? So, well, before I let you go here, we would like to close with a question: what is the best and the worst thing about indie wrestling for you?
The best thing for me is the brotherhood and family aspect. It's always been one of the top, things for me that's always kept me in it there's always been somebody there that's just like, I get it, or I'm here and you can talk, or there's just always something. If you have a question about, hey, how can I improve, there's always somebody that's just like, this is what you got to do. You could take it or leave it. It's cut and dry, and there's different people that deliver it differently too.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always that. There's always somebody that's your dad in wrestling. There's always somebody that's a brother. There's always somebody that you talk to, that you get your information from.
Hey. And there's always kids yelling in the background.
Yeah. Hey, shut up, you goofball. And then the thing that I hate worst. And there's just one. I only get to pick one.
Just one example is fine.
One example. It's hard. Hey, I told you I'm doing this interview thing here. I'm doing an interview.
They were good for so long. This is the other time limit. This is get out of here, Eric Young.
He went downstairs to get an Eric Young. But for me, untrained people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the whole concept of the untrained idea, and the companies just not working together, but because they're untrained, they go and just start their own company. That's what I hate the worst. You got Joe Schmo over here, trained with this guy for 2 weeks and didn't survive. Trained with this guy for 2 weeks and didn't survive. And oh man, doesn't take the hint. Maybe this isn't for me. No. What they do is let's just buy a ring and start our own. That is the worst thing for independent wrestling anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's PA or if it's West Virginia, if it's Southern West Virginia, because let me be honest, Southern West Virginia past Flatwood should just be Virginia, because it's a whole different world. Ohio, it's all different, but wrestling, but it's all still the same joke that hurts the people that's actually out there trying to be serious and put on a product for people to invest their time and money into. Because to me, you got Joe Schmo here owning the building, running a show, then lets this person run a show in it with the same people, just different name. And then we do the exact same thing, and they do this 3 weeks in a row. That's absolutely ridiculous, and you're insulting people's intelligence. And to be okay with just the 50 people that come in there and just continuously be okay with it and say that Jason Kincaid can't help your roster and get more people through the door, I'm officially done with you. That's pretty much it.
That is a great generalized example right there. Tim, let me know, let everybody know where they can check out RSW, what you're doing right now live.
Oh, well, we've made it pretty easy. All you got to do is get on Facebook and check out RSW Live, Real Shoot Wrestling. You can put either one in your Facebook and it'll take you there. Or it'll take you to the fan page. And Twitter is RSW Live, Instagram's RSW Live, and I think we're going to do something coming out on TikTok. So
guessing TikTok. As long as TikTok survives the next month, you're there, right?
And then and then of course we're on YouTube, Real Shoot Wrestling.
Awesome. It's good. Again, Tim, thank you so much for inviting me down to check out a couple of shows you had going on there. I'm looking forward for the chance to get down there again and keep up with you guys.
Well, man, you're always welcome, and we love having you.
Awesome. Go check them out. Again, it's out of the network of our IndyWrestling.us family, but we like to support.
Maybe we can work something out.
Maybe we'll have a discussion about that here. But no, we're always good for supporting people doing some cool things in indie wrestling. And thank you so much, Tim and the crew down there at Real Shoot Wrestling. Go check them out. And of course, please check out everything that is happening on IndyWrestling.us, Indie Wrestling Network. A lot of great new content coming up over there. Has been a lot of content in the last month, especially for you guys subscribing over there. And please also check out WrestlingMayhemShow.com for some fine wrestling podcasts. Thank you, everybody. Until next time, please support indie wrestling. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.